We are going to now move into a facilitated discussion with Portia Bradford, a teacher from Louisiana Key Academy. Hi, Portia. Want to check to make sure that your audio is okay?
I'm here.
Great, thank you. So the first question, Portia, for you is, what information from the previous presenters resonates with you most and why? And feel free to list and discuss as many of the concepts as you would like.
Sure. I have about four pieces of information that really resonated with me. The first one being when we talked about IDEA and how, every child should have free and appropriate education. But I do teach at a school for students with dyslexia, and we are the only public school for students with dyslexia in the United States. And so, our law states that we have to have free and appropriate education, but we're actually the only ones doing only dyslexia. And I know that there are places out there that are teaching kids with dyslexia, but actually giving them the specialized education that they need is a huge priority, and we have to do better as a nation at this. Another thing that really resonated with me was talking about how we need to be consistent across all domains with very specific direct instruction that we are giving students, and that it should give them access to information that they're learning in all subject areas. But first we have to get the right curriculum for students so that teachers do know how to give them access to this and can be consistent with it. Another thing that I heard that really resonated with me was the evidence-based instruction. And this is a huge concern of mine as well as I know a lot of other teachers who teach students with disabilities that, now we're mandated to give these state tests. And it's really just been a revolving thing to where we set these expectations that we want our kids to learn. We put them on test, but then it goes right back to, well, we're only going to teach the information that's on the test. And I think that leaves out a lot of individualized goals that our students with disabilities need. So making sure that we are, teaching instruction that is based in evidence that we know is going to help our students with disabilities individually rather than just, the general population of education as a whole. Though I do feel that both are important. And I think that's all that I have that really just hit. Yes.
Okay, thanks. A second question is, what are some ways you see assistive technology used in your school, and what about for dyslexic students specifically?
Sure. I think that one of the most important things for students with dyslexia that will help improve their reading is reading aloud at school and at home. But a lot of our students don't have the means of, books at home, or they don't have a way to get to a library. So getting them technology at home like tablets where they can access technology that would allow them text-to-speech or speech-to-text like a tablet is one of the most important things so that they can read aloud more often. We also use Bookshare, which is a free website for students that do have IEPs, and it is the computer program will read books aloud to them, but it'll also just give them access to the text so that they can read it aloud to themselves. We also use dictation on documents that allows our students to have speech to text. So they push the microphone button, they speak how they want their paragraph or sentence to be written, and the computer types it out for them. That way they can use editing and predictive spelling, word choice, and referencing skills on their laptops.
Thank you for that. Can you give us a few examples of how you've had to adapt tasks and materials for students with dyslexia?
Sure. When thinking about this question, the most important thing to me is that as a nation, we have to do better at screening kids for disabilities at younger ages, because if we don't screen them and name what their disability is at a young age, then we don't know how to educate a child with that disability. And the next step is finding the right curriculum, and that being an evidence-based curriculum, knowing that it is beneficial for that specific disability for the student. And for students with dyslexia, it needs to be a dyslexic-based curriculum. There are a few of them out there. A lot of them are Orton-Gillingham-based, but for example, there's NIHOuse Basic Language Skills, there's Alphabetic Phonics, and the Wilson Reading System are all great curriculums that I know of and that I've had experience teaching those. Also, giving students extra time, reading materials aloud to them, and explaining to them if they don't understand, part of what it means, because students with dyslexia are using so much of, their energy to read that they're having a hard time comprehending. So making sure that they understand what they're reading and being read to is very important. My school does small group instruction in groups of 1 to 6, and I think this is especially important to getting those individualized student goals. Making sure that instruction is simple, direct, and very explicit for students is important. Technology in the classroom and at home is important. Teaching students organizational skills, and then also having trained teachers for that specific disability. I know for teachers who want to be certified in teaching students with dyslexia, it takes about 2 years. And the teacher knowing where the student needs to go is the most important thing, so that they can adapt their materials and tasks for their students.
Thanks, Portia. Next, can you give us any tips on preparing students with special needs to participate in large classroom settings?
Sure. I think the number one thing is that students feel empowered and that they have self-esteem, so that they are set up for success before they're even in their environment and know that they can do it. It's important that they know what their disability is and what their accommodations are. An IEP is crucial for students with disabilities. And these students need an advocate, whether it's a parent or a teacher. They need someone who's going to advocate for them and know the details about their disability, so that they can ask for the right things for them. And sometimes you have to fight for their right things. Even though it's a public school or a private school who has a lot of knowledge about things, they still need someone to be their advocate for what they know is best for that child. And students, not only need to be supported in academics, but they also need to be supported socially, mentally, and behaviorally as well. And, that involves a lot of professionals, but is important for their success in school and out of school as well.
Thanks, Portia. Are there any other very important points that you would like to add at this point?
I think I have hit all of the points that I need to hit, but if there are any other questions, we do have time. I can take a few of those.
There's one other question that is coming up from a participant, and I'm trying to pull that for you, and we'll get it to you shortly, Portia. Just 1 second.
Okay.
Thanks for everyone's patience. Okay, I have it. There's a question for you from a participant. Portia, it says, if your school is a public school, how does it address the LRE? Does the school only consist of students with dyslexia? In other words, how are they included in their non-disabled peers? In what type of setting?
Sure. Our school is a public charter school in Louisiana, and we can screen for admissions into charter schools. So we have an admissions assessment that characterizes and really brings out what are the characteristics of dyslexia and does this child have those characteristics. It includes a lot of testing. It includes a parent interview, and then there is an overview from the administration of our school to make sure that the student fits those characteristics. And so based on that, we have about right under 400 kids at our school who all have characteristics of dyslexia.
Thanks, Portia. I believe that concludes the questions that I've been able to gather. No, I'm sorry. There is one more question for you, Portia.
Okay.
It says, how many students are in the classrooms at your school?
So like I said, we have a little under 400 kids in all. All of our reading and dyslexia therapy classes are in groups of 6 to 1, so 6 kids to 1 teacher, and those are 90 minutes a day. When the kids switch to math or science or social studies or language, they're in groups of, depending on 12 to 17 kids per teacher, but they do get their reading and literature and that dyslexia therapy for 90 minutes in groups of 6.
Thanks so much, Portia. If there are no other questions, I'm trying to be sure that I have covered all the questions that came in. But if there are no others, and I've gotten confirmation that there are no others, I'd like to just give you a prompt for our feedback survey that we are putting in the chat pod. We'd like for you to please tell us what you thought about today's webinar. Please complete that feedback survey for us, and that again is going to be placed into the chat pod shortly. It will also be sent to participants following the webinar. And at this time, we would like to thank you so much for your participation in today's webinar. We've placed our contact information on the screen. Should you have questions or need any additional follow-up for today's session, please email Lacey Wood. And please visit our website. Also, please follow us on Twitter. And we thank you very much for your participation today.